Good morning, everybody. Today I want to talk about symptoms of diabetes. Some of you have messaged me or asked me, how do you know if you're diabetic without going to the doctor? So some of the symptoms of being diabetic are increased thirst. So if you find that you're just thirsty all the time, that could be a sign of diabetes or a sign of dehydration. The rule on as far as liquids go or water intake is you need to be drinking half of your body weight in ounces a day. So if you're 150 pounds, you should be drinking 75 ounces of water a day, not just fluids. You can't, take beer into that 75 ounces a day water. So just keep that in mind. I know it's hard to just drink straight water all the time, especially if you're not used to it, but you need to start trying to get in the habit of doing that. Just drinking half of your body weight in ounces of water a day. Another thing is frequent urination. Because of high sugar content in your blood, it makes you urinate. Your body is trying to get rid of all that sugar. So if you're finding you're urinating more often, especially after maybe you had something that had a lot of carbs or sugar in it, a sugary drink, soda, if you're going multiple times after consuming something like that, that might also be a sign. Also, extreme hunger, which in my case, I've always been a big eater. I mean, I don't look like it, but ask my family, ask my friends, I've always been a huge eater. But our body, especially in highs and lows of blood sugar, it just has this immense appetite to intake. I know when my blood sugar gets low, I just can't eat enough, and I really have to watch that. When my blood sugar gets low, which doesn't happen that often, but you just want to cram as much food in your mouth as possible to try to get that blood sugar back up. Even though you only need a small amount to bring your blood sugar back up, I was once in the habit of just trying to eat until I felt better, which it doesn't take that much food or that many carbs to make you feel better, but it just takes a little bit of time. So I was just eating and eating and eating, and then 30 minutes later, my blood sugar was on the opposite end. It was high. So you really have to watch that. Another thing is fatigue, which when I found out I was diabetic, I had been feeling tired, but I thought it was just a symptom of having my thyroid removed and them trying to figure out the proper dosage for my medication. So that one was kind of hidden to me. But I remember just being really tired and really worn out, especially after my thyroid surgery. And just, like I said, I attributed it to the fact that I didn't have a thyroid anymore, and that they were just a couple months into having me on my medication for that, and I just figured they were just trying to figure out the dosage, which I'm sure that was probably part of it. But looking back, a lot of these symptoms come to mind that I was experiencing before I found out I was diabetic. Another thing is blurred vision. And it might be that you need glasses anyway, but blurred vision in correlation with diabetes is it's not always blurred. It doesn't stay blurred, but especially if your blood sugar is high, it seems like your vision gets more blurry. The higher your blood sugar, the more blurry your vision is. So you just need to keep an eye on that. If you wake up one day and it's really blurry, and then the next day it's not, that might have something to do with it, because if you automatically need glasses, your vision is going to stay the same. It's not going to fluctuate like it would if you have diabetes and your blood sugar is changing back and forth. Then another thing is extreme weight loss. Carbs and sugar have a different effect on diabetics than normal people, and that's a huge thing, and that's how they found out I was type 1, because I had lost a lot of weight, which, like I said before in a previous video, I've always been a small person, so for me to lose a significant amount of weight was a huge red flag, and that's when they put me on insulin. It's funny that I've had people tell me, if you want to gain weight, just eat a bunch of junk food. But for diabetics, it has the opposite effect. If you're eating junk food and taking a lot of carbs, you'll lose weight. It's really, really odd. It doesn't seem like it should be like that if we're eating fast food and crap, that we should gain weight. But For some reason, our body just doesn't function like that. Another thing you might be experiencing is numbness. Numbness in your fingers, numbness in your feet, your toes at different times, which that also happens generally when your blood sugar is high. And it might just come and go. It might be tingling. It might be more of like an actual numb, no feeling situation. Another thing that I experienced, which I didn't really realize at the time because it was summer, is extremely dry skin. And it was painfully dry, like especially in my abdominal area, just really itchy and dry, and it just hurt. And I was putting lotion on and didn't think anything of it. Like I said, I just figured it was because it was summertime. But then once I found out I was diabetic and read through the symptoms, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Skin is the largest organ in our body, so that is a huge telltale sign. And then another symptom, it's not the last symptom, but it's the last symptom I'm going to mention, is irritability, which all of us experience irritability at different times. But if that's not a normal personality trait for you, if you're not a person that's irritable very often, which I don't tend to be irritable. I try not to be irritable. I'm usually a pretty happy person from day to day, wake up in a good mood. But I was finding, or I shouldn't say I was finding, but I was being told that I was being short with people and just seemed off from my normal personality. So again, once I found out I was diabetic, it all made sense. And then once I got on my insulin and got everything situated, I started to get back to my normal self. So I just wanted to share these symptoms with you guys. Maybe it'll be helpful to you if you're experiencing, multiple symptoms that I mentioned. You might want to check with your doctor. If you don't want to go to your doctor and just want to double check before then, if you know somebody that's diabetic and they have a meter, I would suggest testing your blood sugar at various times before you eat, and then 20-30 minutes after you eat to see if there's a big change in your blood sugar. Most people should have a blood sugar of 100 before they eat, and maybe fluctuate to 120, 150 if you're really intaking a lot of sugar after they eat. Diabetics, depending on what you eat, you're probably not starting at 100, because if you're diabetic, that's not your normal level. That's what you strive for, is to be at 100 before you eat. And then once you eat, depending on what it is, if you're drinking a soda, of course, that's going to shoot your blood sugar up pretty high. And our bodies intake liquids quicker. So anything you're drinking is going to affect your blood sugar quicker than something you're eating, because your body has to process the solid foods and break that down before it hits our bloodstream. So just keep those in mind. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. If you are thinking that you are experiencing quite a few of these symptoms, you might want to make an appointment with your doctor and have it checked out. They'll most likely do a blood test. They'll probably prick your finger when you're in the office and then send you to do blood work, and they'll do further tests on it and everything, and go from there. So I just wanted to share those with you guys because I had a few people ask me about it, and there are a few other symptoms, so feel free to look them up. But these are the main ones, especially the increased thirst and frequent urination. Those are pretty good signs of diabetes, and you might not notice it. It might have kind of gradually happened over time, or you just think because you're getting older, you're having to urinate more often, or it's been summer, it's been a really warm summer for most of us, so the increased thirst, you're thinking that might be the factor of that. But just keep these in mind. And again, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to message me or reach out. I'm more than happy to help. See you guys next time.